So I'm starting what I'm calling the Wealthy Single Mom series. And although obviously money is a big part of it and can make a whole lot of things easier, on my way to what I'm referring to as wealth, I'm talking about in all aspects of life. So, like I said, although money is a huge part of it, I'm also talking about health. I'm talking about relationships, family, motherhood, mentally, spiritually, and everything that comes with it as a whole. I've always been good because I've always walked around and had the belief that I am and will be in every situation. So it's always worked out that way. And I'm still good. But I want better. I can do better. I can have more. And that's what this series is all about. For those who are new here, hey y'all, hey, it's Khameleon Kay. And just to catch you up, if you don't know me, I have been a full-time entrepreneur for the last 14 years. And I've managed to do it with 2 kids, a mortgage, private school tuition, giving my kids amazing experiences, and all that. And while I feel like that is an accomplishment, I'm still not where I want to be in life. And I think now it's time for me to raise that expectation of myself. While I've always put my kids first, and like I've kind of lived it that way throughout their entire lives, I'm a big believer in you were a whole person before your kids came along. And the other day I realized there were a lot of things that I got away from. A lot of things that I lost sight of that made me happy and just made me part of who I am. Now, the way I've been living, I've always just been the type to figure it out. I always felt like, I didn't really have time or energy or even the headspace to deal with negative things or things that made me sad or made me feel away. And I didn't have time because I always had a mentality that, okay, you can cry about something, but at the end of that cry, the issue is still there. So it's better for you to just figure it out. And that is how I've always lived. I've always just figured it out. It's nothing that I've needed to figure out or wanted to figure out that I haven't been able to figure out. So to give you an idea of what that looked like for me, my first real business after I had kids was daycare. I would call it my first real business, because I've done other things, but when I say that, I mean I had the daycare. I started the daycare, I did the daycare because I wanted to be home with my kids. I had pretty much just had my second child. My first one at the time, he was 4, just turned 4 or something like that. But I went through the whole, I want to create stability for my kids. That was something that I've always wanted to do. If you want to know more detail about that, you can watch. I had a whole lot of videos about a lot of those details. But ultimately, I had to buy the house to start the daycare because I didn't want to do it. I mean, although you can do it in an apartment, I didn't want to do that because I knew how hard it was to buy a house once you own a business and all of that. And it was just better while I had the 9 to 5 to go ahead and knock that out. Because once I had my son, I already knew that was something that I wanted to do. I bought the house by the time he was 2. And then I put things in motion to start the daycare. That was a slow process, obviously, because like I said, I didn't go full time until he was 4. But by then I had my daughter, so I just, I had planned on leaving. I had planned on having a smooth transition out of my 9 to 5 into the daycare. And I had actually started that process. I was licensed and everything. However, I ended up getting fired. And then I was like, okay, well, I hadn't done everything I needed to do to save the money or have it be a smooth process or to make sure the business was going first. But it didn't make sense to get another job and waste anybody's time. So I did what I had to do. And in the meantime, just to give you, just so you know, some of the things that came with where I am today. At the time, Like I said, when I started that business and the way that it all happened, that first year was really hard for me. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a job. And of course I had a mortgage. But I worked that out with my mortgage company, which is why I'm a big ass advocate about buying a house. Because I'd have been out on my ass if I was renting. But then I started my online store, which is still on ice. I will take that off just whenever that happens. But anyway, I started the online store to supplement the income that I wasn't making from the daycare until it picked up, right? So I did what I had to do. I was making, I was making the money. I was making that money until the daycare picked up. When the daycare picked up, I was still, just because of the momentum I had built with the online store, I was still getting orders and stuff like that until I completely just put it on ice, which is where it is now. The daycare did eventually pick up. I figured that out, and I was actually full to the brim, like more kids than I could handle. And so anyway, after my kids went to school, which was part of my plan, things didn't go as planned with that, but that's not a story that I'm going to get into right now. But let's just say after that, once my kids went to school, I became a realtor. And I'm still a realtor. But I did also become a travel professional. And now I'm currently also exploring day trading. And I started a membership for single moms to teach them some of the things that I've done. And those two things, the day trading and the membership, are pretty new. So I don't know where that's gonna go. But long story short, I've always just acted on faith. I never knew where it was gonna take me. I never knew what was gonna happen with it. And I've just always had this belief that God and the universe just have my back. I'm always good. Now, outside of the things that I've done while I've been a mother, in high school I got my cosmetology license. I got that while I was in high school, so by the time I was 17, I was a licensed cosmetologist. I sold candy at school in middle school, so I would make about $100 before I got to school every morning, because I would pretty much sell out every morning. I knew what to buy, and I would buy it in bulk, and that's how I made my money when I was younger, or before I was old enough to have a job. I did get my first job when I was 13, but like even that was like, of course I wasn't old enough, so it was like a family member. But outside of that, I did that. I got the cosmetology license in high school. I got my CNA GNA when I was like 20, but let me tell y'all something, that was not for me. I don't know what I was thinking, because I have a gag reflex that would never allow me to thrive in that type of position. So I mean, I got it, but to be honest, it really didn't get any use, because yeah, I can't smell anything that, or even see, sometimes I will throw up. Okay, so I didn't even get to that part, like the clinicals, when you have to actually be there, and I didn't realize, I didn't get to, the downside of it until like pretty much in my last days, which was like that last week. So then I knew then, I'm like, yeah, this isn't, I ain't able to do it. My eyes was watering up. I was gagging, like I just can't do it. And so when I was 11, I used to write poetry, and it started with poetry, and then I started writing songs, and I used to dance. I used to like pretty much perform, dance, sing, perform. I loved it. And I actually did that until I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, I had did this performance that was for like representatives in the industry, and there were actually people interested in me, but the guy who was in charge was gonna set up the appointments or the meetings, and I found out I was pregnant between that performance and when it was time to set up those meetings. And so I just stopped answering the phone. I pretty much ghosted. But that was something that I really, really enjoyed. And I just hadn't got back to it. Like, it was just ever since I had him, it was just all about them, right? So, about him first, of course, and then. But anyway, that's kind of like a lot of what I did as far as like what I've talked about so far, pre-kids, and then once I had kids. And so, like, where I am now, recently, like I said, I'm a realtor, and that was like my main source of income. And recently, I had 7 deals fall through. 7 deals for 7 different reasons. In the real estate market was just kind of tough. It was a lot. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on in the world. We all know. We all see it. And so, yeah, it's the first time I ever had anything like that happen, because how I went from never having a deal fall through. Never. It just never happened to me. I was really careful. I'm real careful about the lenders I refer. I refer my clients to. I'm real careful about, I'm real thorough in the questions I ask and the qualifying people, as far as like selling the house and all of that, whether they're in a buy or sell side. And to go from never having a deal fall through to have 7 fall through in a row. And it was all out of my control. It wasn't anything. It wasn't, it was not like actually literally nothing to do with me. None of them. And it was like all different situations. So anyway, I'm kind of like starting over now because of that. And that set me back so much, y'all. Like, it set me back financially. It was so stressful. And if you're wondering like, to actually put a number to that, let me see, because I actually did the math. So those deals were equivalent to $89,010. $89,010, y'all, that fell through. Okay, so now I'm not just starting over with, I'm not just talking about that. I'm not just starting over regarding that. I'm just starting over with everything, just life. And I just want to take you guys on this journey to wealth. This time I want to kind of take you with me. That's something that I've never done. I've wanted to, but I'm in the process of like buying all the equipment to be able to do that. I have this camera. I have a vlogging camera. I'm getting a car camera. For in the cabin. There's so much that happens in there, y'all. Like, I feel like I spend a lot of time in my car. And it's so many things that I would just have loved to have as content or to show. And I may just post like stuff like that once I get the camera. Post stuff like that on my Instagram or my TikTok or something. Because me and my kids have some hilarious moments. Y'all have no idea. But anyway, I don't know what this journey to wealth will look like. And I also don't know where it'll lead. What I do know is I have so many unrealized dreams and so much unfinished business. I've always went into everything I've done with an obsession. Meaning, like, I have to see it to the end. Whatever that end is for me. So, whether that meant around the clock deep dive research for weeks or months at a time. Or all the mentors and coaches I have invested in. I've always met the level of success that I was satisfied with regarding that specific thing, whatever that meant for me at that time. Now, like I said, I don't know where I'll end up, but I'm taking you with me on my journey to wealth, because I don't know about y'all, but I was meant to be a rich bitch. And I'm going to keep going after my destiny. The only difference is this time, y'all get to watch this specific journey. Love you all. Wait a minute, I just been at home feeling kind of cynic. I was in the pits, I was running with it.